Five o'clock, time for us to start our study session. Summer, would you call roll, please?
Commissioner Blevins?
Here.
Commissioner Norwood?
Here.
Commissioner Siragusa?
Here.
Commissioner Roberts? Here. Commissioner Stallings?
Here.
Commissioner Orr?
Here.
And Mayor Mason.
Here. Item number 2, at the Commissioner's request, discuss any item of concern on the regular session agenda.
I wouldn't want to call it a concern, but I do want to bring it up on our consent item number 5.3. We're approving to deduct a change order with Lawrence Construction for $8,407. This is a completed job that came in under what they proposed that we elected for. And I just want to we saved another $8,400 by making a decision to use them for that job.
It's excellent. We need a few more like that. Come in under
Work out. If we could do that every single job that we do, we'd be sitting fairly decent.
Other comments or concerns? Anybody? Okay. I'll move on to item number 3, 3.1, update on haunted gym special event.
I have some guests that are coming in behind you guys.
Keith, save me, save me.
I see it's some of Keith's family.
Too small. Not enough coverage.
Easy with that machete.
Too small. Too small.
Take some people out.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. That'll go in the experiments just great.
Nice and fresh.
Not corrupted by politics yet.
All right.
That's good. You want to tell us where these characters are going to be? And
We have a couple that are going to be in our cannibal kitchen. We also have some that are going to be in our carnival of horrors. And then we have some that will be in our uprising of the undead. And then we have a few that will be in our cursed mummy's tomb. And then we have a couple of other attractions. So we have 12 rooms, and then we have 2 outside attractions that will be on the 27th and the 28th from 6 to 9 p.m. And this is a free event. It's open to the public. Anybody's able to come.
this is brought to you by your City of Enid staff who do this because they like to have fun and they like to provide something for the community. I can tell you, if you're going to go, you better get there early or stay late because it's always packed and there's
It's always
a
packed.
line.
And this time, we moved it to a Friday, Saturday instead of a Thursday, Friday. Last year, we had about 1,500 people go through.
Now, is it true that we have to sign waivers that it's so scary that if something bad happens to you that we're not responsible? Do we have people sign that waiver?
No, we do not have
Okay,
that.
all right, well, enter at your own risk.
You enter at your own risk. We do have fun, so when you do come in, there are several strobe lights that do go off. Once you come in, you do come in with a guide. We have 10 come in at a time, and then once those 10 go through a couple of rooms, then we start 10 more, so it doesn't get overcrowded. And then at the end of it, you get candy.
Do you guys, I know you kept track in the past, and I don't know if you have the number with you, but hundreds of people go through this, don't they?
Yeah, last year we had 1,500 go through in one night.
In one night?
In one night.
Wow.
So for those that want to know what they could do on the 27th and 28th, they could go be scared
Yeah.
at Champion Gym from 6 to 9.
So yeah, we do.
For
keep-
free.
we keep track of our numbers, so that we have a count for every year to see if we can increase it.
Well, thank y'all very much. We appreciate you coming. Thanks for dressing up and And I know.
I think he likes you.
Yeah.
And it's not just the Parks Department.
Looks like my high school girlfriend.
It's all of city. It's all of the employees. It's not just the Parks Department.
Okay, very good. Well, I like it.
Kim and
Like it.
Corey, thanks, and everybody on the
Yes.
team, thank you for making it fun for people in Enid. And for free. Yeah. Thank you.
Pretty good screen.
Hey, I might need that machete if you want to leave it.
It was good.
It's fine.
3.2, discuss chili cook-off for United Way.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Williams. I'm with Tech Services. I'm your techie up here, I guess. I'm the signal guy and the sign guy. But today, I'm going to be letting you taste the chili that we're going to put up for competition this Friday at the Chili Cook-Off down at Stride Bank Center. I want to invite everybody down. Come on down. I think it's $10, and you can get all the chili that you can eat. I think probably about 40 entries there. So.
Mike, do the commissioners need to sign a waiver before they taste the chili?
This is my medium version. It's not too bad. I think you'll be all right with it. But this is my own personal recipe. I've gotten firsts and seconds with it a lot, and this time I got to first place, and I'm pretty proud of it. So
Can you tell us there are no ghost peppers in there?
there are no ghost peppers
Okay.
in there. There are peppers in there. And
Okay.
There's tomatoes, and there's a little tiny bit of onions. It's mostly is pork, meat, and I think the theme for the United Way is, or for the chili cook-off this year is decades of change, decades of something. Anyway, we're going to have different decades represented with City of Enid. We're going to have the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I think that if you want to come down, you might get lucky enough to get your picture made with Elvis. I heard he's going to be in the building. So you guys come down, there'll be some people in costumes. You can get you some of this delicious chili. Maybe put a ticket in my little deal there. We've got some cheese. We've got little oyster crackers, Fritos. I've got some of my own pickled hot peppers, and they're very, very good over here. And all the other things that go with that. This is just a sampling. I'll leave this here for you guys in between meetings if you want to fill you up a bowl.
And this is the medium.
That's
That's what I was.
Now, what time does the chili cook-off start?
It starts at 11.
Okay.
And it's over at 1, and they'll be doing the judging about 1 o'clock, 12:45, 1 o'clock. They'll start pulling tickets. And we'd love to have everyone come down. City of Enid, citizens, come on down and let's help the United Way, and let's have some fun and get some really hot chili. I will have my hot stuff out there for you. You guys be the judge. Any questions?
Good.
I would be in favor of keeping you on the study session from time to time, wouldn't you?
Well, I want you to know that these are not your ordinary beans. Those are just ordinary black-eyed peas. This recipe came about whenever we were having breakfast one New Year's Eve morning, and we were talking about our black-eyed peas for the new year. And my wife don't like black-eyed peas. Can't make her eat them. So we'd made breakfast burritos, and I had a little bit of breakfast sausage left over. And I decided I was going to make chili and them peas and that breakfast sausage, and you're getting to taste it now.
Does she eat them now, or?
Oh, she loves it.
Oh, yeah.
She just says, tone it down a little bit. I said, honey, you got to know the audience. I think
No
in
going
Oklahoma,
back.
people really like it hot, right?
There is one question I have for you. I see a lot of online discourse about, does chili have beans or does it not have beans? There seem to be some people in both camps, and it's fairly heated.
I think
Debate.
there's a couple of jokes there, right?
Yeah,
I think it depends on what campfire you're sitting around.
yeah,
So,
okay.
All right, well, I'll leave
It
it to you.
just keeps getting a little hotter.
That's why, Mike, you were saying that this is your medium,
I think
and you're planning on doing hot for this event?
This is what I've been told is the perfect heat.
Corey, are there gonna be extra facilities down there if he goes to decide to go to hot?
We need to alert the hospitals.
Yeah, and porta potty folks, yeah, we'll do that. All right, so there you have it. That's my New Year's Day breakfast chili.
That's very good. Thank you. Thank you.
And Michael, I don't know, he may have told you, he competed with, was it 10 other entries from the city or 9, something like that? And you were voted the best. So when you go to the chili cook-off Friday, hopefully you've understood this is the best, but vote for him so the city of Enid will win. Typically, we finish in the top 3, supporting United Way, which supports the community. So I appreciate you stepping up to do this.
And I've hired Elvis to serve this.
Elvis, all right.
He'll be there serving you.
Is he going to sing and serve or just serve?
He might. We'll just have to see.
All right. Well, Morale, that's going to be tough to follow, but item 3.1, discuss the history and background of the Stormwater Master Plan.
I was just thinking you got all of them same day. You got scary and hot food and stormwater.
It's going to be a perfect night, right? We covered it all.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Okay, stormwater history. So we are going to go presenting the stormwater history. Like when I put together the whole presentation, it's about like 2 to 3 hours, so I didn't want it to bore you up for 2 to 3 hours. So I'm going to split this presentation into several pieces. So today I'm going to cover the history of it. In the coming presentations, it's going to be bits and pieces, so I'm going to talk about it in the presentation. So the agenda here covers the history, stormwater management, and how many master plans been conducted over the years. What is a regional detention pond? And what are the responsibilities of a new developer? And what is an on-site detention? And how many projects been covered or built over the years? So, what is a stormwater? Stormwater basically resulting from rain and snow. As we know, over the years, the climate is keep changing, and the designs, what we are keep doing it, we have to keep revising, update our models to bring up to speed where we are. All our model shows a line. It's just a line based on our models. So Mother Nature is finally, I don't think it's going to follow the line. So, but we are going to manage the expectations. The history is, we had a rain 50 years ago. It's like a 500-year event. So we got about 16 inches in 13 hours. It's a very significant rain. And we got 12 inches in 3-hour period. So this rain event caused a lot of damage downtown and towards the east part of the town. The result of 1973 flood, the FEMA did a flood insurance map in 78. The city adopted in 79. So because of this flood insurance map, the residents of Enid can get a reduced flood insurance from FEMA. And also it allows provide some guidance for the city to regulate the floodplain, what needs to be done in the flood area. And this is the current flood insurance map. I know this covers the whole Enid. We have a map which is in a GIS. You can zoom in and out to your property. You can put a property address. It can tell you, take it to the location. The main things on stormwater management that we do is like a 1% chance rain. With 1% chance is a 100-year event. So on any given year, there is a chance, 1% chance that 100-year event can occur. That's the gist of it. The main purpose is like there are two things. One, move water from the people. If we cannot move water from the people, then move people away from water. So these are the main two things we are trying to achieve in Enid. And with this process, there are some priorities. Stormwater detention ponds. So we'll talk about those projects. These are the master plans, about 8 master plans we have done over the years since 1975. Today, I'm not going to talk about every detention, like all the results. This is an overview presentation. So in the coming meetings, I'm going to talk about the results of these studies. The latest one is like we did in 2021. This is this is an amendment to the master plan. This covers the whole citywide. So in the past we did small basins. Now the 2021 covers the whole Enid. And the previous projects or master plans gave us some guidelines what needs to be done. Over 22 detention ponds and channel improvements being proposed. You can see majority of those projects are completed or in progress. I would say about 4 or 5 detention ponds, they are still in the design phase. They have not done yet. But the other projects are like at some fashion location. Like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the presentation, we are keep refining our master plans. For example, the earlier master plan called for a detention pond just north of the country club. But over the years, we did new detention ponds upstream of that one, so it eliminated one country club.
Which one got eliminated? North of where?
The country club north, just north of Willow.
Gotcha.
And the other one is Meadows detention. So there are new detention pond upstream of those. So there is a chance it could be relocated. So the master plans are keep evaluating. The recent ones are North Garland and Crossland Park. They are almost finishing up on their progress. This is the stormwater basin map. This is based on our drainage area. So they are like North Boggy Creek, West Boggy Creek, Coil Creek, Skeleton Creek, South Boggy Creek. Each basin has a name, and they are tied to a master plan or a plan for that. So I'm going to talk about all these master plans in the upcoming meetings. This is an overview. Early on, I mentioned move water from the people. So this is a concept right here. I know this is not to scale, just as a graphic representation of the story. So when there is no development upstream, there are houses, the water going downstream, and the water is not flooded the houses or the buildings right here. So when there is a new development, so it increases the runoff because there is a change in the impervious surface. So automatically there is a chances are it increases the water and inundates the downstream side. So the concept of detention pond comes in picture right here. So to mitigate the new development, we have to detain the water. It manages the detention pond, and we have about 11 detention ponds operating currently and 4 future ponds. Right here, like you can see, when you build a detention pond, it's going to detain the water and release it slowly is not going to affect the downstream structures. That is the concept behind the detention ponds. And there is a building right behind it. It's not see it.
Morale, can I ask just a quick question on that, on those detention ponds?
Yes, sir.
Completely understand the concept of that and why we do them, and they work very well. But you somehow, I guess, calculate for those are good up to a certain rate of rain over a period of time.
Yep.
Because I think back of what you showed on the very first slide, 12 inches of rain in 3 hours, I think that was.
Right.
I mean, how do you, I guess at some point you can over-engineer, you know, what is it Gerald always says, with enough money, enough time, you can engineer anything. But how much do you over-engineer that for those events like that?
It's a good point, sir. Currently, all our structures in Enid are withstand 100-year event. So the event what we had that in 73, that is a 500-year event. So we cannot, like, that is not designed because I don't think we have enough sources and funds to build that kind of structures in Enid. And if we do that, majority of the developments in Enid, it's very hard to do it. So, and also it is a very big burden for the developers to even ask them to detain 500-year event.
Okay.
So, I mean, with that, like, even FEMA regulations are provide guidelines to this, like, it's a 100-year event.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Good question. So these are all the location of the detention ponds. And you might ask, like, hey, oh, you got only detention ponds on the west side. Why not east side? So where the new development occurs, we have to catch the water there before it goes downstream. That's the concept behind it. So to give a little more science or maths behind detention pond. So the blue line right here is whenever it rains, that's how much rain it's going, like how much water it's going to run off. So as soon as there is a development, so the water runoff goes up. So this is an additional water or storm water that needs to be captured. So right here, so all our on-site detentions basically calculates the existing flows and like discharges at the same rate for a longer period of time. So that's the concept behind it. And during this process, developers pay the impact fee. So this impact fee will be used to develop the regional detention ponds. They are not for the on-site, this is for the regional detention ponds.
Okay.
So you might ask, hey, why do you need an on-site detention pond? Because you already have a regional detention pond. Yes, that's correct. But the reason for the on-site is the regional detention ponds are located on the main channel, are close to the main channel. But the developments occur all over the city. So the purpose of the on-site detention is we cannot inundate people between the new development and the regional detention pond. So individual response, like the new development, they need to detain on-site. So these are the developer's responsibilities. He has to mitigate, like I mentioned, it's a 1% rain, it's 100 years of rainstorm, and mitigate the impact to the main channel. And the fees that is collected we will be developing the regional detention ponds. Or, I mean, there is no significant for 2008, that's a big date. So last 15 years, we spent about $15 million improving our stormwater infrastructure. So developed 11 detention ponds and 19 channel improvements and 16 big major culverts. Example, Oklahoma Bridge, Cherokee Bridge. They are culverts, but they are as major culverts. And we bought 14 properties. This is the one I'm going to cover in the next one. These are the accomplishments. These are the projects-wise where each location is. And this is the map where all these are. Couple of the current projects going on, Woodlands Drainage, Meadows South, you might see there is a big channel behind the Meadows project. That's about $800,000 project. And also the Norman Box, that's currently under construction. We just finished the Eisenhower Bridge out of box. It's not opened yet. It is in the curing time right now. Probably in the next week or so, the road will be opened up.
And that's light speed. Light speed. If you remember, that just happened just a few months ago, right?
Yep.
But because of your and Jason and your team's quick thinking, we change ordered that, and now it's nearly done. It's done, except for waiting for the cure time.
Yep, yes, sir.
So I think that might be in your ward, or something.
I believe it's Commissioner Stallings.
Okay, Commissioner Stallings, it's in your ward. So hopefully you'll hear good things, because we don't like to close things any longer than
But the Meadows storm drain, we approved that, I think, like, this is my first or second meeting, but that's on hold now, that project?
I don't think it's on hold, it's
It is under
in
construction.
progress.
Yeah, one that's, you know, Cleveland.
No.
Yeah, it's, the walking trail's right behind it.
Sorry.
The Meadows, you know,
Yeah,
with the
drainage,
walking
yep,
trail. That project's on hold?
No, it is not on hold. It is
Okay.
under construction. That's what I.
Okay.
Yeah, right here.
We're on, he's referring to the detention, the Meadows detention pond.
Yeah, because I thought we approved the concrete storm drain. through there.
Yeah, that's not the detention. That's the,
Okay.
yeah, that's the storm drainage between the sidewalk and the meadows.
Okay.
Yeah, they are
I got
construction. Yeah, it's like they completed
Okay,
almost.
gotcha.
Yeah, they completed almost 300 feet so far. Yeah.
And I'd say that's moving at light speed. If we just
Yeah.
talked about it
I'll
in
have to
May,
go
and
check
it's
that
just
out.
October.
Yeah.
That's light speed for the city, for anybody, the state or the feds. So outstanding work.
And these are the location of the projects in the map.
You don't mind me looking at your notes.
And I was talking about like move people away from the water if I cannot move the water away from the people. So if people are, I mean, if the properties or houses are within the floodway, the best option is to acquire those properties so that it will be beneficial for the movement of the water. So city acquired about 14 properties over the years, and these are all the locations where they are. And the coming up presentations are, like I mentioned several times, findings from the master plan, what is the current, what we are doing, how we are calculating the impact fees and stuff like that. That being said, yeah, any questions?
I have a question, Raleigh. All the water that's accumulated here in Enid, is it all from the rains here in Enid, or do we receive water, a different water source from outside of Enid, outside of Garfield County?
Getting your mind up. So basically you can see our boundary map. So that's our basin boundary. So very little that comes from the outside. Majority is it within the city limits.
Okay, and then it leaves Boggy Creek and go on.
Boggy Creek
Skeleton.
getting into Skeleton Creek, yep.
Okay.
So most of the city west of Cleveland was built post-1973 flood. I'm sure we had these regulations in place, but say we had that kind of rain again, how bad do you think things would be? I mean, well, like, especially the areas that were built before 1973. They have to go through a second round of that.
Right.
Or can we at least expect it to be not as bad this time?
I think,
I hope that the west side would be
yeah,
okay because we've had these regulations in place. But
right. I think those are the results that I'm going to talk about in the future meetings.
Okay. It's good enough for me.
All right.
Raleigh, is it best for those ditches and those waterways to have concrete in them or not? I've heard it both ways, that sometimes with concrete in them, it moves a lot faster and can do more damage downstream. That they want some of that roughage or whatever in the bottom of the creeks to slow some of that water down. Is that true, or am I just...
No, I think it's like a double-edged sword. So if the opening on the downstream is big enough, so you can push water too fast. But if the opening is not there, you're going to flood the people downstream. So you just need to, it's a balancing act. So do we have enough area downstream? Then yes, we can put channels down and release the water quicker.
Stormwater is a big deal in the city of Enid, and so you'll remember just, I think the last meeting when the PUD was approved, there was conversations about, did we follow proper procedures? I can confidently sit up here and say, yeah, we have, because I know, and I've sat in some of the meetings with Morali and Jason, the rest of the development team, almost any development project in the city requires a drainage report.
Yep.
Because we need to know what the impacts are, and the developers are required to mitigate that impact.
Right.
And so really I see it as a three-pronged approach. You talked about the impact fee, that a developer has a responsibility to contribute to the regional detention,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
And so they can do that through paying that fee.
Right.
Or they can do it through credits and there may be some other possibilities. That really doesn't generate the biggest dollar amount. I'm going to say that's roughly 120 or something like that, in that range. What generates the big amount is that stormwater fee on everybody's utility bill, which when the development ends up paying, or the individual entities that occupy that development and all the residents. And that's based on, I think we call it ESUs or something like that, equivalent service units. It's based on non-pervious area. And so that generates about I'm going to jump out there, $1.6 million. My fact checker's right here if I'm wrong, but that's roughly that's where the money's coming from to make these improvements. And then also you mentioned on one of your slides that they have to mitigate the impact of their local development. In other words, the way I look at it, and I think you've explained it to me, I might get it wrong, but they can't have more flow off of that property than they had before.
Right.
And so they typically use on-site detention or some variation of that. In that development that we just talked about, that even came up, but because it's so close to one of the channels, there was going to be that trickle channel or whatever we call it that drains to the back. So that's how I knew that I know we're looking at that. And so I think it's important for us, not just through this series that Morali's going to be doing every so often, to update you guys and inform you guys, but also to inform the public. We do. We pay a lot of attention to this, to the point that sometimes developers get upset with us. And so that's where I need your help sometimes, because it's a difficult balance trying to be business friendly with trying to enforce and do what we're supposed to do. And drainage is not probably an area that we can mess around, because you've seen what's happened. I would tell you 500-year rain, I have no idea what would happen, but there would be flooding in some areas, because by definition, we're not protecting, we're not building for that, because it's impractical. But I would hope it would be better, and I think all these improvements that have been made that we're going to talk more about, I guess, the next time, and what we need to do is exciting to me. So I appreciate the update, and I hope this is an opportunity to ask any questions, because stormwater is very important, and your constituents, our customers, need to know and want to know. So,
Do we still plan on dredging out Middle Lake?
Yes, sir.
Because that's like a detention, isn't it?
Yep. I know it's going to be a bit, I don't think it's detaining water because we are not holding any water. Because once if you dredge it, that it's going to fill that back in. So it's not going to be any detention right there.
you know, one of the areas we're going to focus on more probably in the future that, you know, I'm aware of and some have told me is there are some areas we need to maintain better than we're doing. Meaning that there's some silted in ditches and there's some vegetation that's grown up. I'm probably going to look and ask in the future about, because how we're probably going to try to address some of that is through stormwater funding. And so that's kind of operational. And typically we've treated stormwater as capital only, but to make some of those improvements, I think we might have to consider some of that over time. But I think I just noted on one of your slides, was it since 2008?
Yep.
We spent 15.4 million, so roughly that's $1 million a year. So because of that stormwater fee on everybody's utility bill, we typically have been able to make significant progress when you add it up over years. So that's something you should be proud of, and hopefully we'll understand when your constituents come to you talking about stormwater issues. We still have challenges and issues, and you're going to talk about those more in the future.
Yep.
When do you think we'll do it again? Are we going to do it in January or?
Yeah, I think, yep.
Okay. Sounds good.
I just had a question. I do have kind of a small creek that runs through my backyard area. It's in between the property lines. And when it does rain hard, it does kind of flood up until my fence line. How often would that need to be cleared out or dug deeper?
Let me take a look at the address and I can.
It's Meadowbrook.
Yeah.
I can't answer specifically. That's one probably that somebody asked the question about.
I know that.
With concrete bottoms and probably, I think the area you're talking about might benefit from that.
The south portion of it was just recently cleared out.
Good.
But the north portion hasn't been cleared out. But I didn't know how often something like that between properties would need to be cleared out that's not concreted, that is just dirt.
I think the best practice is it needs to be cleared all the time.
Okay.
So, because we cannot predict the rains, so we do not know when the rain comes, so it just need to be cleared all the time.
Okay.
So I'm glad to hear that we got half of it done.
Yes.
Kudos to the team for getting half of it.
Morale, is there any type of chemical that we can put on some of those ditches that, wife and I walked down one of the trails and, man, there's like some trees and stuff growing up in some of those, and I mean, I'm sure with some heavy equipment you can go in and get that all cleared out, but how do we keep that down without just having to run equipment through there? Can we not spray that or try to kill it so that?
I think the major concerns will be is the aquatic life, because you will be spraying in the water, I mean like waterways, so if there is a fish kill, then it's going to be a concern. So I don't think we wanted to do that.
Yeah, on downstream.
Downstream
Yeah.
side.
Mayor, we get lots of help from regulatory bodies that tell us we need to do stuff, but we have constraints. And so that's one of the constraints you talk about that we do, we comply with, so. Plus, if we killed all the vegetation, there might be more erosion, right? Which cause more silt problems, but it's a continual problem. But again, we're going to try to address some of it potentially with some contractors, particularly on some trees that I know are in some of these ditches. You might talk briefly about how does the core channel, there's a core channel, but what I think of as the core channel is not really the whole, it's not what the Army Corps thinks of the core channel. Can you explain that so everybody understands?
So the core channel literally starts just south of Garriott Road. So there is a ore spillway on the south side of the Garriott. From there, like just probably a few yards behind, like above the Middle Lake Pond. So that's the only portion is the Corps maintains, like not maintains it, regulates it. So they comes once a year and look at all the condition of it and provides the report and saying that, hey, you guys are doing a good job. So the recent inspection, they kudos our department and saying that, hey, I don't need to come back every year, so I'm coming back next 5 years. So
that's a tribute that we're doing really good maintenance in that area.
Yeah.
But we realize other areas,
yeah,
we're not able. So or at least at points. So, but that's important because what I think of as the core channel by the house where I grew up in is not really the core channel.
Yeah.
But it is the channel that filled up in 1973 and backed up into some houses. So.
But like, that is a blue line. That might be the reason people say it's a core channel. Blue line, it's a core. I mean, yeah, the FEMA regulates it.
Gotcha.
Going back a couple of years ago, we had that issue in, I think it was about the 1800 block of East Park on the south side where vegetation grew up and everything else. And we cleared that, and I haven't had a complaint from anybody in that neighborhood about water being in their backyard up to their back doors, so.
Could you say that again?
Yeah. I don't want to jinx myself. Ever since we cleared that channel, nobody's complained anything about the alleyway. The alleyway is actually now staying level and
I think there's
not
still,
washing out.
to be frank, I think there's still some challenges in there. That's an old channel.
Yeah.
And I've been down in there a little bit too, and at some point, I don't think that's any part of, is that part of the master plan stuff, or is that something different? Do you know what we're talking about over by, it comes out Park and Garriott?
Park and area. I need to look at that one, sir.
About 1900 blocks right before Lake. It actually goes underneath Garriott and dumps out into the
Oh, yeah.
Boggy Creek.
Yep, that is a part of the
Okay.
main channel.
Yeah, but ever since they cleared that back there, they took out trees and everything else and kind of makes that flow now. Nobody's getting any backups,
That's good.
so it's the importance of clearing those channels.
Okay. Any other comments? Anybody? No? All right. Thanks, Morelli. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Item number 3.4, discuss the use of golf carts on city streets. And I will say I was the one that brought this. I'd gotten multiple calls on this. I contacted the chief and Carol, and I think that there was some, it wasn't consistent everywhere what was going on. I think there were some people getting tickets, other people weren't. And I thought it might be a good time for the chief and Carol and I to meet. We went through and tried to figure out what would be fair. People have golf carts, but at the same time would still be somewhat safe. And what you've got in front of you on the ordinance, and I'm going to turn it over to Carol, but what you've got is an attempt to try to make that somewhat safe. And as we go through there, I mean, any questions you have, either I can answer or Carol or the chief can answer, either way. So, Carol, I'll turn it over to you then.
Well, it starts with the definition, and what we've come up with is the vehicle, it's a golf cart, we're only doing electric golf carts, not the gas golf carts. They need to be equipped with lights, turn signals, seat belts, and in order for it to be on the street, there needs to be insurance on the golf cart. Then we would allow them on streets that are no more than 25 miles an hour. Basically, if you're an adult, you need a valid driver's license. If you are at least 14 years old and we are contemplating that we would need to provide some training. If the 14-year-old can operate a golf cart safely and passes a test about the street rules, and the parent signs and is there at the time of the training, and has insurance on the vehicle, then a 14-year-old would be able to use a golf cart. Persons at least 13 would be allowed to drive a golf cart if their parent is in the vehicle and, in the golf cart, and they have insurance on it, only during daylight hours, and no other passengers can be on the cart except for a parent and the child. And that is to give the young child some experience before completing the training. They have to, in order to operate the golf cart, they have to obey all the traffic regulations. The number of persons in the cart, other than for the 13-year-old training, would be limited to the number of persons that have factory seats and seat belts for them. And children under the age of 10 can only ride in the golf cart if it's driven by a parent or guardian. When the golf cart is in motion, all the people have to be seated, belted, and no one can, hang out of the golf cart, sit on top, that sort of thing. And we're not going to allow them to be used on city streets or the trail system. That's basically it. Since golf carts and go-karts were together, and neither one of these had definitions, we've created a go-kart definition, and go-karts can't be operated on the streets and highways.
Do you think this go-kart definition, is that going to include dirt bikes, ATVs?
No.
Okay.
Go-karts are little motorized vehicles, tiny little things for racing, or a small cart, where you,
Yeah.
it does not include those others. Those are covered elsewhere in voluminous detail in the code. And there's all sorts of rules. It gets kind of complicated. But all different, dirt bikes versus, and then we've got the scooters, and then we've got some strange little stand-up things that I don't think I would be safe on. And they've got a special mobility device, but they're not very big.
Carol, I've got one question for you that I hadn't noticed before, and it's just a question.
Yeah.
Since this is a study session. On the definition, Ken, if you go back to golf cart, we're talking about essentially electric golf carts.
Yes.
I know there are some that may be gas. I don't know if we're trying to talk about that at all, or those would be excluded, it appears.
Right.
Okay. So just FYI, because if anybody would try to drive a gas golf cart, then they would not be in compliance with the
Right.
ordinance. Okay,
Just electric.
very good.
So why did we exclude gasoline golf carts?
I suppose because if, the reason why I excluded gasoline carts, golf carts, are because if we're allowing 14-year-olds and 13-year-olds on these golf carts, and I was a little concerned about them filling it up. It's flat, the gas things, they would be filling it, and it just seemed like the electric would be safer than having a 13 or 14-year-old trying to fill up a golf cart. But what do I know? It's been a long time since I was 13 or 14.
Commissioner, I think also, if I can chime in here, when we were in that meeting, you had mentioned that there had been some people trying to drive the old golf carts that were gas powered, but those old golf carts that you see, still around, a few of them, they don't have lights, brake lights, any of that stuff. All the new ones now that I've seen are all electric, and they have all those features for signal lights, horns.
Would it be a better idea to just come in here and under prohibitions and say that golf carts must have headlights and street lights? Because there are some gasoline ones that still have that stuff. They're probably few and far between, but I think it would be better just to go in here under prohibitions and say that golf carts will be driven during daylight hours only unless they are equipped with headlights and tail lights and whatever the other requirements are.
Chief?
So there is different operation with the gas golf carts versus the electric golf carts. When I was thinking about 13 and 14-year-olds operating these golf carts, the gas golf carts are a lot more jerky and they don't handle as well, where the electric is more smooth to operate. So there's some safety concerns when it comes to a 13-year-old. If you've gone to the different golf courses and you drive electric versus a gas, there's a big difference in the two. So that's why we kind of chose to went with electric.
I guess I've never noticed. They all seem okay to me. So is this, if this is the final version, Carol, we need to look at a couple things here. There's one thing that contradicts itself. Under paragraph A, A1A, it says by persons with a valid driver's license, but then right below it, it said persons under the age of 18 must be accompanied by a parent or guardian at the time of training and execute the required forms, but they could have a driver's license. So I think we need to clarify that a little bit. It just contradicts itself. Is this the final version that we're going to see next week?
No, this is just a draft.
Okay.
So any suggestions that you have?
Another question, who's doing the training? The city or the state?
Chief, you have some ideas about that,
Yeah.
don't you?
Most likely the city.
Okay. So in talking with the mayor and Carol, we came up with two types of tests. One will be a written test because in our neighborhoods, we don't have a lot of signage, so we're going to expect a 13-year-old to know the rules of the road, which could be a challenge. They understand stop signs, yield signs, things like that. So the marshal, Lamley, myself, some of my employees, we've got plenty of cones. We'll set up a cone course back here at the training center. We'll set days where a parent can bring their student down, youth down, do a proficiency course, and then they'll have to take a written exam. So that's kind of our idea right now. That can be changed. But when we were discussing this, we wanted them to have the proficiency and some understanding of the rules of the road. So that's where we're at right now.
If they did not have a valid driver's license.
Correct. We're talking about a 13-year-old
Yes,
that's going to have
13.
the proficiency test.
I assumed that there would be some people who do not want to get a driver's license, who are under the age of 18 and don't have a driver's license. And that's why I said, if the person is under the age of 18, they have to be accompanied by their parent.
Okay, I understand that. Just if it probably just a little clearer in there.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll work it out.
Yeah, no problem. And then under paragraph B, there's a repeat. B1 and C2 are repeats.
Yes,
Okay.
I realize that.
All right.
I have been, I apologize for the confusion. I've been jiggling with this until probably Friday afternoon.
Yeah. So are we in agreement that we should probably, under prohibitions, put golf courts that have streetlights and not exclude gasoline? That's a parent's deal. They should be deciding. I mean, I got 13-year-old kids filling lawnmowers. I mean, there's really no difference. So why can't we just go back and put a prohibition about gasoline golf carts? That's a parent's deal. That we can't control everything.
If I could have a minute, I got one of each. I've taught all my grandkids to drive in golf carts. The electric cart, the new electric cart, they're a little different, you're right, but they're not like the old ones where you jump like that. But, so I think he's right on. There's not much difference. The lights come on all of them now if you buy them. They're just like a regular car. You buy it at any level you want. You could probably get a stripped down one. Most of them that we buy today have more stuff on it than we need. You can get a radio in it and all that stuff. But my concern is when we get these kids out there driving in their quote neighborhood, they're going to end up on our streets, and how to control that. Up at Grand Lake, we lost a kid last year in a golf cart going down a hill, lost control, hit a guy wire. You can imagine what happened. So, and it happens. So. But we got to keep them off the streets. And neighborhood, where does the neighborhood start and the arterial streets? Well, what happens is, I just want to go down there about 4 blocks. And all of a sudden they're out there on there. But if we're going to have them, we're just going to have to watch that. But that's to me, that's the most important thing, is keeping them off the streets where cars don't hit them, so.
And I think that's going to be a lot more difficult on the east side because there's not, a whole lot of
You've
neighborhoods
been
per
to the
se.
east side, we don't
Yeah.
have too many people riding around.
Yeah.
Riding around with golf carts on the east side.
Yeah, I understand
Now,
that. but-
four-wheelers? Yeah, we
Yeah.
got four-wheelers running up and down. Dirt bikes? Yeah, we got dirt bikes running up and down. Go-karts? Yes, we got
Point
go-karts.
taken, point
We do not have any golf carts on the east side of town running up and down neighborhoods.
What I'm,
Just saying.
Well, what I would suggest then is that can we get signs close to the exits of these neighborhoods? Just to remind drivers, no golf carts on
well,
main streets?
Where do you stop, though?
It's 20
All of a sudden, you
it's
got all
only 25, you can only drive them on 25 miles or under. And I am tracking that at least some would like it to be a vehicle with 4 wheels, designed for operation on a golf cart course, equipped with lights, seat belt, turn signals, and liability insurance. But
Now, what is the default? Is the default speed limit in town 30 or 25?
25.
25. Now, I just drove in from downtown. We've got some main roads, some main arterials that are 25 near the downtown area, and I know there's a couple other spots in town. Do we really want golf carts on those streets during the morning with cars? When we got heavy traffic, do we really want golf carts plugging things up? So do we need to exclude main arterials, like Randolph downtown, Main Street downtown?
I think most of downtown isn't, it is 25? So that might be, the chief and I can
I think we need to
discuss
look,
that.
I think we might, it might be worth looking at to limit
Okay.
what streets those are, that we're gonna allow golf carts. I don't
Okay,
think want
we
them
will
on the
look
main-
at the 25.
I mean, if we look at that, then we've also got to start looking at these motorized bicycles, right? Because we
Well,
let them go anywhere.
I'm just talking speed.
I mean, there's no end to that.
Yeah. Hey, has anybody talked to Okarche, or it's either Okarche, Kingfisher, or Hennessy that has, they're a golf cart friendly community. I see the sign every time I pull through. I think it's Okarche. Has anybody reached out to Okarche and see what kind of regulations they've got set up and how things are going for them down there?
I saw the sign, I've called, they haven't called me back. I did talk to Nichols Hills, and they are a city, but it's all very, it's an expensive place. I used to live there when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
But, it used to be a bedroom community. Now it's like right in the middle of Oklahoma City. They did it in 2022, and the police department said that they might be reconsidering it. Now, it's a little different than us. Part of it is that there are so many golf carts, and and there are lots of children, and it's become kind of, I mean, it's hard to get around because there are certain times when the kids are out with their golf carts, and there's been some mischief, and their meetings have been filled with complaints and also happiness. So it's been kind of a learning experience for them. But the police thought that it might be done away with. I think we would have less than that because the mean income there is more than the mean income in
I'm not,
Yeah,
so,
Enid.
I don't mind it. I think it's a great idea. I just want to make sure we have our rules in place and that we thought this out before we publish the ordinance and give the public the go to start driving these on the streets.
The one thing I would say about the motorized bicycles, the ones that actually look like a bicycle and have a motor on it, at least in my opinion, for quite a few people, particularly people of my age, the motorized bicycle is probably safer than the unmotorized. Because the last time I tried to get from my house on Southgate to downtown, I got stopped 4 times by nice people who, before I got to Meadow Lake, who were worried that I was going to pass out because of the hills. So, to a certain extent, I determined in my own mind, if I was going to attempt to go anywhere other than Vance Air Force Base from my house, I need a motor to help me on hills. So,
The only other thing that I see is must obey all traffic regulations, including traffic signal signs and all other devices. Traffic regulations, we're talking all the state traffic laws.
we are.
Includes TOC.
Yes,
Because the one thing I notice about recreational vehicles is TOC.
yeah,
Transporting an open container.
yeah, or
And if
worse.
that's going to be doing it on
transporting
a
and drinking.
public street,
So,
you're in
yes.
violation. If you
Yes.
grab your beer, hop in your golf cart, drive down to your neighbor's house, in between you and your neighbor's house, you're violating a traffic law, which is transporting an open container.
So you're saying it's possible to get a DUI in a golf cart or an open
Oh, yeah.
container violation?
Yes.
Well, is it with the electric? It is with the gas, but is it with the electric? Now that they got electric vehicles, I'm sure the state law has changed since.
Yeah, I believe if we allow them on the streets, that it would be, I don't know whether, I mean, it would depend on what the police wanted to charge. I don't know if a child is riding on a, or a adult is riding on a donkey or a horse, whether they would charge the person with DUI. But if a person
Well, you can't-
is
it's not
on
motor
a vehicle,
Can't charge DUI on an animal.
well, you can if they are a cart. If it's
It's a cart.
cart. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say, if the horse is attached to a cart, then I know that you can charge them. Now, do we have that? No, but not very often. But, I mean, you can be charged if you are an animal husbandry sort of situation.
Carol, I think we also talked about, after they have gone through the course, each one of those golf carts have got to be registered with the city, right? To where there is a sticker that will go on that bumper that they'll be required to purchase every single year to offset the cost of our PD or whoever does that.
Well, I hadn't really thought about offsetting the cost, but we can add, I'll talk with the chief. But
Yeah,
yes, we
and I
were
would just-
thinking.
They don't have to have a license plate from the state, do they?
No, they're not, that's not.
I know that's what they do up in Medford. They do a course and then you buy, it's either $20 or $25, and you put
Okay.
that sticker on the back of the golf cart. And that way, it's easy for them to know that cart's at least been through that process. If they see one running down through there and there's no sticker on the back
Yeah,
of it.
that's,
Okay.
Mayor, we'll definitely work
I like that.
on that. I just want to make aware, the overhead on that with city employees usually is not worth the fee, but we'll certainly look at doing what we need to do. A perfect example is the alarm permit that we do dutifully every year. I think it's $10, and quite frankly, it costs more than $10 per person to do it, but we do it. So I would just say, we will figure out a way to try to address that, but I would hope, we need to find a way that's not very manpower intensive to do that, is what I would say.
We'll work on it. I doubt it will come back on the next one with these changes and thinking about fees and the like.
Okay.
But it will be soon.
Any other questions or comments on that? Anybody? Okay. Thanks, Carol. I think that is all we have on the study session. We will adjourn and start our regular meeting at 6:30. We're adjourned.